All right, today we're going to be talking about volume. This is day 4. Volume is the amount of space taken up by a three-dimensional object as measured in cubic units. So for area, we were like, we'd have our answer and it'd say inches squared. For these ones, it would be like inches cubed. So that's what a cubic unit means. So starting off with volume of prisms. Volume of prisms, we have our formulas here. So each of these is prisms. A cylinder is still a prism. Triangular prism, here's a rectangular prism. So the formula is V equals capital B times H. Capital B is the base area. Remember, your base is the identical sides and parallel sides times H was your height. This is the distance between bases. So for a cylinder, we have our base area, which is a circle, so pi r squared, times height. You don't have to memorize like this volume formula. You just have to remember base area, well, the base is a circle, so know your circle area. Here, this prism is a triangular prism, so the base is a triangle. So base area, 1/2 base times height, times the height, the distance between the triangles. So we're not really worried about these rectangles at all, except for the height. For a rectangular prism, it's going to basically be length times width times height, because the length times width is your base area, and then times the height. So let's jump into our first example. Find the volume of each figure round to the nearest tenth. So we have a trapezoidal prism. So trapezoid prism. Our bases are trapezoids. So volume equals capital V times H. Our base area is a trapezoid. So 1/2. Height. Here's our height. I know because it creates a right angle with our parallel bases. So our height is 3.5 times our bases added together. So this one's 6 and this one's 2. So 6 plus 2. And then we'll be multiplying by our height. Our height is the distance between the two trapezoids. So right here is the distance between the front and the back, so times 2. So plug that all into your calculator. 0.5 times 3.5 times 6 plus 2 times 2. We are getting 28. So volume equals 28 feet cubed. The next one, we have a cylinder. So volume equals base area times height. The base area is pi r squared, and then times the height. If this entire thing is 2, that means the radius is 1. So pi 1 squared times the height, distance between the two circles, is 1. 1 squared is 1 times 1 is 1, so we have 1 pi, which 1 times pi is 3.14, and it keeps going on. So volume equals 3.14 inches cubed. If I round to the nearest tenth, it'd be 3.1 inches cubed. All right, for a pyramid or a cone, it's 1/3 times the base area times the height. The capital B is still base area. If it was a lowercase b, then it would mean base, but it's capital B. And then H is still height. So these are for cones and pyramids. So coming to a point, we have a 1/3 in front of it. All right, so for a, let's do cone first. So for a cone, it's 1/3 times the base area, which is a circle, pi r squared, times the height. We're not using the slant height L for this one. We're not using that. We're using the actual height of the cone. So for this one, we have a cone. Its height, h equals 3, radius equals 1, and we'll plug in here. So 1/3 pi r squared times h. So 1/3 pi, r is 1, so 1 squared, times your height of 3. Well, 1 squared is just 1, and then 1/3 times 3 also comes out to 1. If you wanted to plug this into your calculator, make sure that you use 1/3. Do not type in, don't type in 0.3. Please use parentheses, 1 divided by 3, close parentheses. And your parentheses are above your 8 and 9 for these calculators. And then times 1 squared times 3, you get 1. So again, 1 times pi is 3.14 centimeters cubed. Rounding to the nearest tenth would be 3.1 centimeters cubed. Next one here, we have a pyramid. The base is a hexagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So 1/3 times the base area. So the base area is 1/2 times apothem times perimeter times the height, which is right here, and that's 11. So we'll have 1/3 times 1/2 times the apothem, which is 5.2, times perimeter, so each side is 6, and there are 6 sides. I think I need another parenthesis here, close that all in, and then times the height, which is 11. So it's all multiplication, just left to right, so you can plug it all into your calculator. Again, making sure, I'm going to make sure I use parentheses around each number. So parentheses 1/3, parentheses 1/2, 5.2, 6, 6, 11, 343.2 meters cubed. All right. And our last new figure would be a sphere. The formula for a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. So radius, r is radius. Again, be sure to type 4/3 into the calculator as 4 divided by 3. To type power of 3, do the caret symbol, which is right above the division sign, and then the 3. So here, for the first one, by the volume of each figure, round to the nearest tenth. So we have 4/3 pi, radius is 7 cubed. Type it all into your calculator. 4/3 pi, 7 to the power of, so this symbol, 3. 1436 point, the 7's in the 10th place, the 5 behind it says round up. So 1436.8 inches cubed. 1436.8. The next one, let's see here. You could consider 24 your circumference, or you could picture it as being this diameter. For today, I'm going to picture it being the diameter, which means my radius would be half of that, being 12. All right, so volume equals 4/3 pi 12 cubed. Plugging that in my calculator. Four-thirds pi 12 cubed, 7,238.2. These are formulas that you will need to memorize. For the actual test portion, you will get the formulas. Now let's do composite figures. In my opinion, composite figures for volume is slightly easier because we just have this shape on the top and this shape on the bottom. We don't have to take anything out. We're just finding the volume of each one separately and then adding them together. So find the volume of each figure, then add them together. Find the volume of each figure, round to the nearest tenth. So let's look at the first one. The first one is two prisms. So both of those are base area times height. So first for the trapezoid prism. The base area is the trapezoid. So we need to figure out how tall this trapezoid is here. That trapezoid has a, let's see here, if our rectangular prism has a height of 8, then 22 minus 8 would give us the 14. I'll put it on this one back here so it's easy to read. Our trapezoid base area is 1/2 times the height of 14 times the bases added together, 6 plus 17. And then times, for the whole trapezoid volume, times by the height, so the distance between the two bases, which will be 13. So 1/2 2,093. All right, now for the rectangular prism. Basically length times width times height, because it's base area, which is length times width. So 17 times 13 times the height of 8. $1,768. The entire volume is me adding those together. 3,861 centimeters cubed. Okay, on this next one we have a cylinder and a cone. So you can do whichever one first, it really does not matter. So if I start top down, work with my cone. My cone formula is here. Okay, 1/3 times the base area, which is a circle, pi r squared, times the height. So let's see here. Do I have the height? The height, that's the slant height, 8. The height is actually here, h, and I don't have that yet. So let's work to figure that out. Okay, the big cylinder, the whole diameter is 20. That means the radius here is 10. All right, so this is 3 and this is 3. So 10 minus 6 is 4. Here, 4. Which means, oops, that the radius should be 2. The entire distance, oh, actually I did that wrong. The entire distance is 20. From here to here is 20. Then take away 6 from each of these sides, so this area is 14. And then cutting that in half to find a radius would actually be 7. So now I can use Pythagorean Theorem to find our height, and we have to do this often sometimes. Okay, so we have height squared plus 7 squared equals 8 squared. So h squared equals 8 squared minus 7 squared is 15. Then square root 15, and we get 3.87. So let's round to 3.9. So this height of our cone is 3.9. All right, so now we can find our cone area, 1/3 times the base area, which is a circle, pi 7 squared, times the height, which is 3.9. So plug that in, 1/3 pi 7 squared times 3.9. 200.1. Now for the cylinder. Base area times height. So the base area is a circle, pi r squared times height. So pi r for the cylinder is 10 squared times the height, the distance between the two circles, 6. Pi 10 squared times 6. 1,884, 0.9 and then 5, so actually it's 1,885. The entire volume is me adding those together. So 1,885 plus 200.1. 2,085.1 feet cubed. 2 more. All right, we have a cone on top of a rectangular prism. So starting with the cone here, I need to find the height. So I'll call that h. If this slant height's 7.6, that means this one's 7.6. So using Pythagorean Theorem, we have a right angle. So h squared plus 3 squared equals 7.6 squared. So 7.6 squared minus 3 squared is 48.76. Square root both sides, so h equals 6.98, which does round up to 7. So the height is 7. So cone, that's 1/3 pi r squared h. 1/3 times the base area, pi r squared, a circle, times the height. So 1/3 pi 3 squared times the height of 7. .97, so 66. And for the rectangular prism, length times width times height. So 9 times 12 times 4. $432. The entire volume, add 66 to that, 498 feet cubed. Last one, I encourage you to pause the video and try this on your own and then get back with us. All right, starting top down, we need to, we have a triangular square pyramid. So a pyramid formula, let's look again, is 1/3 times the base area times the height. So not the slant height, the actual height of the figure. How tall is it? So we don't have that. We have the slant height, but we can create it. So if I picture myself drawing a height here, it's going to cut into my shape. I'm cutting out this little triangle, making a right angle. This is a square, so that means this is 2 down here, and we can find the height using Pythagorean Theorem. H squared plus 2 squared equals 5 squared. H squared equals 5 squared minus 2 squared is 21. Square root of 21 is 4.58, so 4.6. Now let's go ahead and do the square pyramid. So it's 1/3 base area. Base area is a square, so 4 times 4. Times the height, 4.6. So 1/3. I'm getting 24.53, so 24.5. Now the square prism, and if you called it a rectangular prism, that would still be fine. But the bases are square, so technically this is a square prism. Length, it's still base area times height. The base area is a square, so 4 by 4. 4 times 4 times the height of 6. 96. Adding 24.5 to that, so the volume equals 120.5 centimeters cubed.